Good morning, folks. So I just want to take a quick moment. I'm at Kiwanis and Tempe, and I wanted to talk about soft jerk baits. So standard ones that I use are the like 5-inch super flukes, but I use them mostly in this white ice and opaque white. Sometimes the ones that have the black top and the white bottom to imitate shed more closely. But there's a reason that I use these, and it is because for me, I use a size 1 straight shank cover shot from Owner. So the keeper kind of butts up against the front of the bait, and on the head of the bait, a lot of people will use an offset, and they'll either go all the way through or partly through and then put the offset in, and they'll use all the way up to a 5/0 on a 5-inch bait. Well, I want this to suspend and kind of give a cadence that I want. So when I use the size 1, when they hit, it still comes out perfectly fine. I get really good hook stats. They have changed the standard salty super fluke a little bit. There's a little more meat to the plastic, slightly heavier. It's still got the same amount of cavity to it, but it's got much longer fork tail on it, which kind of curls up when you're not using it, but once it's in the water, it flows really well. And what I end up doing is putting it all the way through the meat of the head and then having it straight in line, most of the time right there where it kind of just gets to the skinnier part. Sometimes I'll stretch it out a little bit, elongate it to make a much more lateral movement to it. But the thing of it is these are so effective, more so I think than a lot of the glide baits that I used to use, because they look as natural as they do. Bass by nature are a very aggressive species of fish, more so than a lot. I mean, they just have this way of just kind of being assholes on the water, really. They'll attack pretty much anything that hits in front of their face if they're hungry. And if something just elicits that anger management issue that they have going for them, they'll just violently lash out at it. And I find with the flukes that I can create so many different motions to these things because of, and I'm going to take this out real quick, one of these, because it's got a certain design to it. If I twitch it really quick, it lends itself to really getting off center and just having this really ridiculous motion in the water, very exaggerated, like it's fighting for its life, and that triggers that response in the bass. But there's also the bass that will follow something, and so you'll have this bait in the water and you'll just be tracking it, kick, 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 double kick, kill it, boom, and they're on the shit. And like with Neds, I'm not talking about Neds right now, but Neds is like my pocket. Flukes are my pocket as well. Drop shots, part of my arsenal. They're pure reactionary baits, so they're instigating that fight or flight in the bass. They don't know what it is. They a lot of times know that it's probably not something that they should be eating, and it still gets them because it triggers that straight response. And you know, I toss a fair amount of Neds, mostly in dark colors, and I use them all year long. I have not done a lot of drop shot lately because it's such an overused technique. It still catches fish, granted, but I'm going for very pissed off aggressive fish, fish that are lying in wait, that are just looking to murk the shit out of something. So I want purely reactionary baits. I used to have I'd say realistically a little over $3,200 in Megabass Vision 110s and 110 pluses in a couple of boxes, and I threw them a lot. And then one day they went overboard on a friend's boat, and they were never to be seen again because I didn't get floating cases. And epiphanically, I decided maybe I should save money, and I started using flukes more. And I had used them before in the past. You know, flukes have been, well, soft jerkbaits have been around for a long time, and there's so many varieties of them now. But most of them, they drop fairly quick. Point of fact, I've got a pack of the new winged flukes, but the winged flukes have a smaller canal in the bottom of the bait for the hook, and they're a denser plastic because you're wanting them to flutter down with those wings and also still track back up. So they're very good for deeper water. I fish a lot of ponds. That's not going to change. I'm going to get a kayak and do that stuff soon too. But the way that I use flukes, I don't want them to drop too much unless I choose to let them take the time to drop, because I want them to drop so slow that that bass has time to look at it and go, I hate you, I'm murdering you. I want that response every time I go for a bass. I have caught more bass in a calendar year of size on flukes than any other bait I've used. I've gotten more numbers in a calendar year on nets, but I still get pretty big fish on nets, and I get carp, and I get tilapia, and I get big red ear. Ned just catches everything. But when I'm going for bass, I want to get the quickest response possible. I know that underspins and paddle tails work well. I want to cover water, but cover it very slowly to pick off zones to try to get those active bass that people are passing by because they're covering a lot more water. So I slow it down a lot. That's one of the reasons I like walking canals. I can take my time. I can hit those breaks in the concrete. I can hit those shopping carts that always happen because meth heads. Rocks on the bottom, the staircases, the concrete and the metal ones. Concrete ones are fire, by the way. The bridges with the flow underneath, the cutoff points where the water speeds up on the other side. I hit all those spots. Tempe's lakes have really not done very good lately, so I've been pulling the fluke out. Kiwanis is a nasty dirt ball right now. I don't even know how fish are living, but I saw minnows and I saw shad, so apparently they're not too affected by it. And you know, point of fact, I'm doing a lot of carp fishing these days, mostly with bread. And overall, though, I'm fishing a lot less than I was because I've got trying to take care of my health. And I want that bait that I just saw a bass. I want that bait where I can just go hit, walk, hit, get some bass, go home. And for me, the two top ones are Ned and Fluke. But the Fluke, and this is the one brand I carry 90% of the time, because despite being loaded with salt, it stays suspended very well. So I would say if you're going to get a brand, the consistency has always been phenomenal with the Zoom brand with all their stuff. But the reason that things like soft plastics work so well is because they're very lifelike. So, you know, you can even take a paddle tail fluke from Zoom or the other brands, and you can swim it, you can walk it, you can jerk it. It's got a lot of versatility too. I just don't like the way they feel, because I'm using a 2000 size Daiwa Tatula with my custom medium light. So it's a very balanced rig, and if I have too much drag on the other end with a bait, it just doesn't feel natural. So yeah, there they are again. They're chasing bait. So I'm gonna get back to it, see what I can do, but I just wanted to give some perspective on why soft jerkbaits work so well. They just key in on that instinctual murdering tendency that a bass has, and they're very effective no matter what water you get on, as long as you know where to look. That's it.